One last comment. Would it be possible for you to discuss the split of objectivism that occurred after you and Nathan broke relations?
I acted as rationally as possible in that I told people to believe Brandon and follow me. Simple.
I believe you cursed him once saying, and I quote, "If you have an ounce of morality left in you, and an ounce of psychological health, you'll be impotent for the next 20 years. It is. And if you achieve any potency, you'll know it's a sign of still worse moral degradation. Not only then, you proceeded to slap him twice. Twice. Too bad. Dose.
I can no longer comment on any of these situations, not only because you two are being very rude to me, but there is a unusual odor in the air.
Fair enough. On another note, we would like to discuss further events contradicting your professed ideals, but first, John might need a diaper change over here.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Okay. Alright, after that refreshing diaper change. For instance, although the Ayn Rand Institute and the Institute for Objectivist Studies are affiliated with your ideas of selfishness, they also receive monetary donations and frequently donate books to various school districts.
Nobody is forcing these people to donate anything, John. They can do so for their own personal reasons. As for donating books, I believe it is necessary to do so, merely to spread my ideas. I'm not forcing any child to read this book.
On the issue of charity, you believe the government should not fund scientific projects because they are used for economic growth. However, you also declare that these projects are used for military purposes. Then all of a sudden, they are not only good, but mandatory.
In regards to the first comment, I believe that given my prior statement dealing with laissez-faire capitalism, it is necessary for these individuals to produce their own capital. As for the military aspect, an individual should selfishly, of course, want to remain as safe as possible.
So how would you respond to the article in the Fountainhead that Ayn Rand showing both a struggling scientist and a pregnant girl raped by a criminal with both pleading for money? And while on the topic of capitalism, it has been said that the industrialists of the 19th century are often vilified as capitalist exploiters, as robber barons, if you will. What are your views of these men and the charges made against them?
Addressing your first comment, I would say that neither one deserves help, since neither deals with the military. In regards to the other question, they brought the greatest good and an impossibly high standard of living to the country in which they functioned. They were called robbers, because they were able to generate their own wealth. Before anyone can rob, there has to be something to be robbed. The so-called robber barons created the wealth they are accused of having stolen.
Yet earlier you essentially stated that inventors are a necessary facet of life for the good of mankind. Thus it only seemed natural to aid these individuals in their causes.
While I did state this, I never mentioned anything on the issue of donating to such an individual. Additionally, such individuals will generate their own success by their own productive work. In the instance of Rourke, he is able to become successful, thanks to nobody but himself. Even when Rourke loses nearly everything, he never submits to other ideas, showing a great contrast between him and Peter Keating.
Also, you say that you do not like the altruism by which we live. You like a certain kind of Ayn Randist selfishness.
Well, these comments are indeed true. As I stated earlier, I am not forcing any individual to read my work, or attend my school, or thus these individuals for acting rationally, which I do in fact encourage. In regards to Mr. Colbert's remarks, as I consider altruism evil, self-sacrifice is the precept that man deserves to serve others as a moral duty in order to justify his existence. That is what most people believe today.
But isn't man taught to feel concern for his fellow man? To feel responsible for his welfare? To feel that we are, as religious people might put it, children under God and responsible for one another? What is wrong with this philosophy?
You've named what turned into a sacrificial animal. The idea that man must work for others, concern himself with them, or be responsible for them. That is the role of a sacrificial object. I say that man is entitled to his own happiness, and that he must achieve it himself. He cannot demand that others give up their lives to make him happy. should he wish to sacrifice himself for the happiness of others? I hold that man should have self-esteem.
I'm hungry. Speaking of selfishness, while you encouraged such an ideal, the Objectivist newsletters you started up had approximately 21,000 subscribers by 1968, and is essentially telling people what to think. Additionally, the various institutes attributed to your ideas also deal with the same issue.
In relation to selfishness, you, however, have not followed this belief. In addition to the earlier issue of Nathan, Frank Lloyd Wright also comes to mind. While you strongly believe in his ideas, you essentially borrowed ideas from him to give birth to the character of Roar. This does not seem selfish, and that these are not your own ideas.
I would argue that, in fact, the actions of mine were extremely selfish, and that I am merely borrowing the ideas for my own use with no respect for Mr. Frank Lloyd Wright. In fact, the notion that I modeled Howard work after Frank Lloyd Wright seems as selfish an option as possible. They both embody my quote from a later novel, Atlas Shrugged. My philosophy, in essence, is the concept of man as a heroic being with his own happiness as the moral purpose of his life, with productive achievement as his noblest activity, and reason as his only absolute.
I would like to argue with a counterpoint in that while you are following most of your morals and modeling Roar after Mr. Wright, you also become what you negatively coined as second-hander and the fountainhead, merely affixing yourself to someone else's work, in essence a dreadful person. Thus, while earlier condemning the character of Peter Keating, you are more similar to Keating than Roar.
But before you can argue, Mrs. Rand, I believe that's all the time we have for this topic, and we have to move on to further questions after the break. And now, back to the show. So, Ein, what is your view on Obama's healthcare reform?
Don't get me started on our president. First of all, he is a communist slug who does not get anything done. On that note, his healthcare bill is absolutely wonderful.
So you're basically saying that this country is turning into a socialist nation?
No. That was not what I said, Colbert. I said that I like his bill because of what it stands for. It stands for his own idealist.
Rand has spoken.
So now Obama, according to you, is a deranged,
No.
self-absorbed egomaniac.
He is still a socialist.
You just said yourself he is the, quote, embodiment of your own idea.
You just agreed
Shut up,
with
John.
him.
Shut up, John. Now, Stephen, understand
Whoa.
this. This bill is exactly what I live for, what I love. It is like work in the fountainhead. He does it for himself, not for the people or what the people are going to have to do to get around it.
So now, basically in front of the country, you're calling me wrong.
I think you just did, Steve.
Explain yourself.
That's nice. Nice.
John, you gotta take this one. I can't read single.
Okay, yo, Randy, would you please enlighten Steve on your extremist views?
Gladly. I am saying that Obama is a socialist in his ideas, but not in his bill. In his bill, he does what he wants, when he wants, why he wants it, for himself.
So,
okay.
I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us,
God.
and have a great day.
That's all.